Hi, it's Kim from the Shamrock Quilt Studio, and I thought I'd try something a little different this week. I wanted to do kind of a little recap of what I've done in the Quilt Studio this week and share some things with you. So let's get started. Today I did a video on the EPP quilt that we're working on, Purple Pursuit, and showed you how I was working on that. I find that EPP quilts are a little slower than something that you do that's strip pieced or even paper pieced or old-fashioned, where you're taking every piece and putting it together. It does take longer. So when I created this series of videos, I did start a little faster than the video started so I can be sure that I can stay up to date with someone who might be working on this a lot more than I do. I work on quilting part-time only. I have a full-time job. I have a house and a family, so I have a lot of responsibilities beyond just quilting. But I do enjoy quilting, and I want to be able to enjoy the process of making these videos and share it with you as well. So I wanted to be a little bit ahead of the game when I did that. And I hope that that's working well. I know we've just started with the videos. I think we have 2 out already. And I have many more that will be coming, showing that progress as we're moving forward. So if you're interested in that EPP, stick with us and see where we're going. And there will be plenty of opportunities for you to decide along the way how you might want to tweak that project into something that's very useful and beautiful to you. So then also this week, and pardon me, I'm looking at some notes to make sure that I catch it all. We did have a video last Friday that showed the Dresden EPP quilt. That is probably one of my favorites from the color perspective. I love the color blue. And because that was one of the earliest quilts that I made on a large scale, it does have a special spot with me. I love sleeping under it too because it's just very comfortable. It's not too heavy. It's kind of the Goldilocks quilt. It's not too heavy. It's not too hot. It's not too light. It's not too cool. It's just the right level of fluff in the middle of that to keep you warm without keeping you too warm. So we use it as a summertime quilt. We've just put that on our bed so that the temperature is appropriate for this time of the year and the seasons that we're going into. This week I also filmed a video on a cherry rose quilt that I did. It is an all hand quilt. It is applique. It uses very bold red and green fabric on a white background. I also filmed some videos about washing your quilt and what happens when your quilts bleed. And I want to admit to you that when I put this in the washer, I had fully intended to stay right on it and catch it as soon as the washer stopped so I could flip it into the dryer really quick. Unfortunately, I had to run out for a kind of an emergency type of appointment sooner than the washing machine was ready to be done. And I changed the washer and I put it on a soak cycle so it would run faster, but still by the time I got home to check on it, it looked to me like it had bled a little bit. It was very faint and it was hard to tell if it really bled or if it was just the light in the room or my eyes playing tricks on me. So I didn't take any chances. I never took it out of the washing machine. I just put it right back in. I squirted a good squirt of Dawn dish soap in there. I added 3 color catchers and washed it again. And this time I was there to pull it out the washer. And I found that the color catchers came out pink. So I know that red fabric, even though it's, gosh, it's got to be at least 3 years old by now, and it's been used and it's been washed, but that red fabric is still letting dyes out. So I would caution you to just be aware of that. I washed it, I dried it, it didn't have any problems, and it didn't have any bleeding that soaked into the white when it came out. So we're all good there. But a good lesson to me that it takes more than that first wash to make sure that your quilts don't bleed. And it was quite an experience. It kind of makes your heart skip a beat when you see that and you're not really sure what's going on. I did take a trip over to Hobby Lobby this week. I was over at the dentist office and they're right across the street, and I do have some difficulty getting to them because they're only open on Saturday and on the weekend. So I took that opportunity to go in, and I was able to find some items on clearance. They're not quilt related, but they are sewing craft related. They are pillowcase kits that have a design printed on them. You provide your own floss, but the design is there and the instructions are there. I've used these before. They come out lovely. They're a great little gift for someone. They're not inexpensive when you pay full price, particularly by the time you add your time, and if you have to buy floss, then it does add up. These were marked at least half price, or probably even a little bit less than half price. And I also found a couple of packages of just plain pillowcases that are designed to have things added to them, or embroidery or cross stitch or whatever you're doing, that were on clearance as well. So my philosophy about that is, if it's something I think I'm going to use, I reasonably think that in the next few years I will have the opportunity to use something like that, I will buy it, because I could use it. It would be a great gift. It might be a good supplement to what I'm making and using. And worst case, I could give it away as it is. I might even be able to flip it and make $1 or $2. So if I've got the room to store it, I've got the money to spend on it, I'll go ahead and get it. And I did with these. And I think I ended up with 5 different packages that day in the store. I also bought some frames from Hobby Lobby, which I'm very happy with. They were inexpensive and they were half price as well. Oh, about the pillowcases. I have used pillowcases like that. I don't know that they were from Hobby Lobby, but they're the same kind of manufacturer, the same product, to make pillowcases to match a quilt that I've made. A lot of times the quilts I make are used more like coverlets. They're not big enough, or I don't intend for them to go over the pillow like a bedspread does. So the pillowcases are great to add some element that makes them coordinate with the quilt. And then I just use those kind of like a sham on the bed. They're not sleeping on pillowcases. They're more decorative pillowcases. So I want to make sure I added that. And then, of course, one night this week, I tidied up the sewing room, because between sewing and making videos to share on Facebook and YouTube, things get messy in a hurry. So I did spend a little bit of time. It didn't really take that long, surprisingly, to get things back in order. It's just the effort of getting in here and doing it. And I think I've decided that probably needs to happen once a week, just to keep things where I can find them when I need them. And then I made myself a challenge this week to make 2 circles for a new project that I'm working on. This is going to be a quilt that I'm making. I haven't decided on the exact design, but it is going to be a quilt with a solid background and lots of circles in different sizes of blue fabrics, all different shades of blue, all different patterns of fabric, and the design is still to be determined. I think I'm going to do that once I get a bunch of circles made and can lay it out and look at it and decide what I want. But that's the new project. And in order to get it done, it's very simple. It doesn't take that much time. It's just doing it. And when you've worked all day and you come home and you know what you have to do at home, and you want to do it, you want to quilt, you want to make something creative and something fun, something that brings you joy, you just have to kind of make yourself do it so that you can reap the benefits from it. So the making 2 a day was a challenge. I get about 50% on that. Some nights I came home and I was able to get several done, and then other nights it just doesn't happen. But at least there were some made, and I hope that within, I would say 3 weeks, I'll have enough that I could lay it out and see where I want to head in that design process, and then go ahead and buy some fabric for the background and the backing. I am planning a trip to a fabric store a little bit bigger than I have access to here near my house. So I'm trying to get to a point where I can make a good list and know what I need before I go, because I mentioned in another video, I'm about 30 minutes travel time from the city or the town that I live in to the town where I can find an actual fabric store or an actual quilting store. I think the closest quilting store to me is a good 45-minute drive, and that's just one store. So trying to find, I've been looking, we've been up here about 2 years, so I'm trying to figure out where my best sources of fabric are, relying on the sources that I had where I lived before, which is probably where I'll go back for my next big visit, and buy my fabric at that time for several projects that I'm working on for the next few months, summer into fall probably. As a general rule, I work on quilt tops in the warmer months and try to use the cooler fall and winter months for quilting. Most of my quilting is hand quilting. Some projects, I made a quilt for my daughter a few months ago and did it by hand, and it didn't really take that long, but it was not warm yet, so that was fine. I just find that when the weather gets really warm, number one, you don't want to be sitting underneath a huge quilt to be doing hand quilting, and number two, you want to be spending some time outside. The sun is finally out, it's finally warm outside. I know for me, I've tried in the last week to do some gardening around my house, and it's kind of now or never. So you have to pick your time where you do what you need to do to get it all together in 1 week and get everything done. And it was important to take a break and get that gardening done, at least get started on it, so that during the summer we can enjoy the flowers and the plants and our backyard as much as we can. So that's a little bit about what I've done this week. I don't know if you find this helpful or useful or not, but if we get some viewership, I'm going to try this for a couple of weeks. And if nobody watches, we won't do it. If somebody finds it interesting and we'll sit through the whole video, then we'll do it again. So I hope to see you soon. Be sure to like us and subscribe to our channel. Click on that bell so you get notified of new videos. And we'll be back soon with another episode. See how you like it. Thanks. We'll see you soon. Bye.